I'm Jeff Belomo with Belomo and Associates. People come to our estate planning and elder law firm in all phases of life. We believe in education and teaching a client what they need to know and what to expect before it happens through our free educational workshops. We understand that estate planning is more than documents. It is about relationships. At Belomo and Associates, we build relationships and we educate our clients.
So we are recording. Good morning. Calendar says it is September 30th. We're getting ready to start the final quarter of 2020, which doesn't bother me a bit.
Time to wrap up this year.
We want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Belomo with Belomo and Associates, expert attorney in elder law and estate planning. Also got some exciting news. The TV station is finally live. So
Right.
it is. So we're going to start posting on the PA Real Estate Resources logo. So if you go to Roku, you can look up PARER, PARER, actually stands for PA Real Estate Resources. And you'll see this, our show, our broadcast here, along with some other interesting videos, and that we're going to be constantly updating that. So be on the lookout for that. Go find us on Roku. Make sure you share, tell your friends. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, and all of the other channels.
So it's all Paul all the time?
No, it is not all Paul all the time.
Oh boy.
You see that lovely young lady down there on the bottom of the screen? That is Adair Whitmer from Ambiance of Adair. We brought her in to add some class to our broadcast.
That's not hard to do.
Adair is an interior designer and home stager, so she's going to be talking a little bit more about how to make our homes more livable since we're spending more time in them, how to make them sell easier, and give us something else to talk about besides the economic news. So I'm really looking forward to that. Real quickly, what we're seeing in the headlines is really more of the same. Housing prices currently, or housing supply is woefully behind housing demand. Interest rates are still low. 2021 is going to be shaping up to be a little iffy. Interest rates look like they may rise. We can't get people back to work pretty soon, particularly in hospitality. 2021 could be a bumpy ride. What do you think?
More than 2020.
Yeah, I think you're right, Paul. And you hit the nail on the head in that, I have this space background because right now rates are out of this world, but they're not going to stay that way forever. We have for sure coming around the corner a couple of things immediately that come to mind. I mean, the Fed, at least for refinance rates, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, that half a point kick in that they tried to do in August has been pushed out to December, but it's happening now because it has to do with loans that are being delivered to Fannie Mae in December. Well, anything that's closing in October and November is getting delivered to Fannie Mae by December. So our market now has absorbed this half point rate. So that's going to add a little bit to the interest rates going into 2021. It is not right now effective on purchases. So that's a good thing. That's going to keep rates a little bit lower for purchase financing, and that could help keep the housing market cruising along. But the Fed can't keep buying mortgage-backed securities forever. They're going to eventually start tailing off their purchases of mortgage-backed securities, and we're probably going to see those rates drift still into the low threes. I mean, we're not going to 4s and 5s, but we're probably going to be in the low threes as we get into that end of the second quarter of 2021. And, that for sure is going to affect, affordability and may actually have a little bit of a dampening effect on the housing prices going up.
We're starting to see housing, I think sales are starting to level off. We talked about this a little bit last week, so we're still about 2 weeks away from the September numbers coming out, so we'll see what happens. But right now, housing prices are still strong, excuse me, And days on market is still ridiculously fast. Houses are selling before they even hit the market in some cases. So, okay, more better news. Adair Whitmer from Ambiance of Adair.
It's
I'm gonna
ambiance.
buy Adair. I'll get it. I've been messing up Ken's company for months. So
Yeah, he still hasn't gotten it right yet.
This is what pen and paper is for.
never heard of them. So Adair, what are we talking about today? As far as I think you said, what was it? Lighting?
Yeah,
Lighting in the
one of
house.
my favorite topics, lighting.
Talk to us about what can we do to brighten up our homes and improve the lighting in our homes.
Well, I'm not a lighting expert. I'm really not, but I am an expert at creating ambiance. And so that's why I love lighting. I think it's the magic that goes in a house that can transform rooms, can create moods, and so on. So, and as we know, because we've reviewed this last time, ambiance is really about creating the character and atmosphere of a space, which is why I like calling my business Ambiance by Adair. So there's just a couple tips that I think that people need to keep in mind when they're coming up with, when they're redecorating their house or they've got a new house. And that is, to deal with, to work a good plan is sort of the starting place with regard to lighting. Planning period when it comes to decor is probably the most important time to spend on creating a great plan. So I've got a couple tips. It would be, so varying the lights throughout your house without getting crazy, and understanding what different lights do. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. For instance, uplighting is going to be able to make your room look larger. Pendant lights or clustered lights is going to make it feel cozier. And then I really like to look for showstopper lights, because if you do a showstopper light in your house, it reveals your style, and it's just a talking point, and it's a stopping point for people. So putting those in specific locations is always a good idea. So varying lighting is good. And I think you have to get with a good designer, lighting designer, interior designer, because you can vary lights and it can look like a dog's breakfast. Or you can vary lights and make sure that they're different, but they coordinate. So that's where designers come in handy.
I certainly hope you have some pictures of all of this, because I'm a very visual kind of guy, and I have no idea what you just said.
I know you are cool. I have pictures. Do you want to see pictures now?
I
Or do
want
you want me to go?
I know. I want to see pictures now.
Okay.
Show me
So
pictures.
let's show you an example of some showstopper lights. Let me share
Because
my screen.
I just look at I'm having a strong affinity for the picture books.
I know you are. You're a visual boy. This is a showstopper light in a bathroom, and I think that's a kind of a fun place to hang an interesting chandelier. I have a chandelier from the 1920s hotel in my hallway, and it's a showstopper. So they can come in many, many forms. This is one particular showstopper. I'll show you another showstopper. This is crazy cool. These are pendant lights, and they're also in a bathroom. Can you see this one where it's throwing all kinds of firelight onto the walls of the bath? Yeah. So
it's like so that glass is tempered in such a way that that's how it's reflecting the light coming out.
Exactly, Ken. Exactly.
So what color are the walls in that room?
I think these walls are gray.
It almost looks like they're stainless steel the way that lighting is.
Pretty funky. I mean, there's so much that you can do with lighting. I have a Pinterest page if people are interested, and it's called Lighting Ideas, and I've got tons and tons of pins for lighting ideas that I really love. I'll give you another example of a showstopper light that's very classy, and I like to do this in a hallway, an entry hallway that provides enough, providing you have enough space. I love this look. It's sophisticated, it's fun. I love to see a little round pedestal table in the middle of an entryway. I think it's very gracious, but it's not complete unless you put some very cool piece above it. That's a real commitment to that decor. But I think that's just really light and happy and friendly and welcoming. So that's another showstopper. And then when I talk about varying lights, here's an example of varying lights. And these sconces, very different. I call them showstoppers, and they could flank a mirror, they could flank art as they are doing in this picture, but I don't think people think about putting sconces on in their houses or in their walls readily. I think there's opportunity to do that many times, especially if you've got a console. It's a great place to put a sconce, or you could put a picture light above that artwork and create some nice ambiance too. So that's just a couple areas where, does that help, Paul, give you a sense of
Certainly,
what I was talking
certainly.
for showstoppers? The other thing I urge people to do is put dimmers in every light that they have. Dimmers, every single light. They're cheap. They become, they create a lot of economics because it's less to have as high wattage as a normal light would have. So they're very efficient. The other place that I think people miss out on is in kitchens. You have to make sure that you're lighting for the various functions of the kitchen, but there's opportunities above cabinets to create some cool up lighting. If there's no soffit, there's lighting under cabinets, there's lighting in cabinets. There's obviously the pendant lights that you can put over an island. So I load up kitchens. In my kitchen, I have 7 lamps in my kitchen. I'm a fan of lamps. You might call me a lampaholic. I love lamps. Because I think lamps are cozy and they throw off a nice warm light. You know, the other thing people need to think about are the bulbs and being consistent. I can't tell you how many houses I go in and I see over a bathroom, there will be a cool light, then there'll be a warm light and another cool light or a missing light. It's just, people need to be cognizant of the whole, you know, the bulbs, what colored bulbs they're dealing with. Obviously the wattage is one thing that'll create brightness. The lower the watt, the more like a candle. The higher the watt, the more like outside. And then there's warm or cool light. And warm is, in my opinion, great for creating a cozy environment. And then obviously the bluer lights are going to be more for working and you know, efficiency and keep you awake. I think the other thing that I'd like to talk about with lights is that you can create, and I'll share my screen again because I know you love that. Sometimes
well, it beats looking at Kim. So yeah.
Poor Ken. So here's an example. I'm doing this in one of my clients' houses. I'm putting this gypsum wave pattern around a fireplace, and above it we're going to put a spotlight to catch those waves. So sometimes you want to use lights. In this case, it's just going to be a small eyeball light that beams down at the right distance to create that, to show off that effect. But you could also do a spotlight on artwork or a special table or piece of, you know, possession, a sculpture or what have you. So that's another way that you can use lights. But I would urge people to go and sit down with a lighting designer. That Kim at Yale's excellent. I work with her all the time to put together a good plan and work with a designer if possible, so that you can make sure that your style is emerging and that you're creating something interesting with your lighting, and that it's creating a flow and an energy in the room that that you are ultimately going to enjoy. But putting that plan together first is kind of my instruction to you.
Good.
Here endeth the reading for today.
All right. Let's see. Some of the other changes. Thank you for that, Adair. And by the way, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
Going to agree to come back and, you know, keep us posted and up to date, because I know color changes have happened quite a bit, especially with COVID. People are staying at home more.
It really depends on what background Ken picks. I'll join depending on his background.
Okay.
Adair, how much do you think, like, you know, from with a properly lit room? So I'm thinking about somebody who, you know, is they bought a house and now they're thinking through this whole process. Um, how do you see that changing room, like the way the room appears size wise, and you know, how does it change the overall perception somebody gets when they walk into that space with proper lighting? And it seems like it's a fairly inexpensive way to change somebody's perception of a room.
It really is. It's a great point. So if you're trying to sell a house, updated lighting is important because I mean, I've heard this recently. You guys can verify this, but people who are buying houses today don't want to do a darn thing. So if they look up and they see a dated light, they go, ugh, I don't have to deal with that. So dated lights can really change the perception of a room. Adding recessed lighting in a kitchen. I'm doing that for a client now. Big deal. Adding some updated chandeliers could change the perception of the room. Opening up windows, blinds, drapes, that kind of thing. So it depends on if you're living in the room or if you're trying to sell the room. Were you talking about one of those scenarios or another scenario?
Well, I like the fact that you hit on selling a house, because I would imagine that just a little bit of improvement there could really change the perception that somebody has when they walk into a room. But I'm thinking about, you know, if we're, you know, Paul's out there selling a property and the property doesn't have that pizzazz to it, you know, some simple ideas that could change the look of a room to help somebody maybe visualize, like, hey, here's what this room could look like.
Yeah.
Properly lit and put together.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where you don't always necessarily, I mean, it's great if you can put hi-hats or spotlights in the ceiling, and then they're not super expensive to do, but
Right.
even just like you said, just having lamp stands in the right places can make a big difference in how the room looks.
I also urge people when they are going to show the home to light up all the lamps, light up the stove light, the cabinet lights, put in under cabinet lighting. That's not that hard to do. It's not that expensive. Under cabinet lights, huge for lighting up the space and making it look really inviting. So you're absolutely right. To sell a home, I will always put updated lighting in bathrooms, especially bathrooms. They can be deadly. Bathrooms, hallways, you know, the semi-flush or flush lights on the ceilings can be updated, and they're not that expensive.
See, now I gotta apologize to my wife because she has so many lamps around, and you're like a lampaholic, and now I feel like I didn't know what I was talking about.
I'm leaving that one alone. Okay, I think that does anybody else have anything earth-shattering that pretty well? Just pay attention to, for those folks that are selling their homes, pay attention that how we use our homes is definitely changing. We've got a video coming out here soon that families are moving back in together, so the boomerang kids are boomeranging back for both economic reasons and people are feeling isolated, so they're moving back in just so that they feel less isolated. People are working from home, and parents thought that the kids went off to school. They are now homeschool teachers. So definitely you want to be paying attention to the space. Maybe we can get Adair to talk about creating home offices and homeschooling space, home study space, and accommodating our changing lifestyles. Simply because, again, our lifestyles have changed and are not likely to go back to what we would call normal. So those buyers, they're looking for new spaces that they're going to end up spending a lot of time in. And lighting's certainly going to be a big chunk of that. So welcome, Adair.
Thank you.
And we will see you all next week. And if anybody's looking to get hold of Adair, she does some wonderful consultations for both people looking to sell and also that just want to get a fresh new look. Her information will be on the contact slide at the end of the broadcast. So By the way, Adair, real quickly, how should people get hold of you?
They can call me or text me at 717-278-3900, or they can email me at Adair, ADAIR, at ambiancebyadair.com. And ambiance is spelled AMBIANCEBYADAIR.
Got it. Ken, good to see you as always, and we will.
Good to see you. Adair, it was great to see you. Thanks for all the good information.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ken.
And we'll be doing this again next week. Have a good week, everybody.